really excited to be joined by two ambassadors from the awesome state of Wisconsin, a state that I spent a lot of important years. Went to University of Wisconsin in Madison, and I had the opportunity to visit Wisconsin a few weeks back, and got to meet with these two awesome teachers and their students. So we have Drew Lockwood. How you doing, Drew?
Good. How are you?
Good. Welcome. And Rachel Eigner. How you doing, Rachel?
Hi, I'm doing well, thanks.
That's great. You teach at the Reedsburg area high school. So tell me a little bit of how you ended up there, and well, tell me about what you teach at Reedsburg. You want to go ahead and start, Rachel?
Sure. So this is my second year at Reedsburg Area High School, and I teach two sections of biology, one section of ecology and environmental science, and then three sections of earth and physical science.
Cool. How about you, Drew?
So this is my first year at Reedsburg, and I teach the exact same classes that Rachel does. I have two sections of modern biology, and then one section of environmental science, and then only one section of earth and physical science.
So you both teach biology and environmental science, and here there's a trick question. Do you feel like there needs to be in the general biology and maybe even general science curriculum more emphasis on the environment and conservation issues?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I think that would be something really cool to incorporate into the biology curriculum. And I feel like we are lucky enough and fortunate enough to have a lot of freedom in terms of how we deliver instruction and the different curriculum that we want to deliver. I mean, we've got the NGSS standards, but other than that, we really have a lot of freedom in terms of what we want to teach and how we want to cover those standards. So I think it's really exciting being able to teach environmental science this year, thinking about ways that we could incorporate some of the things that we do also in the biology curriculum, especially because every student takes biology as a freshman. You have to take biology, it's a requirement, but not every student takes environmental science. So that is an elective that's offered to juniors and seniors.
Rachel, you and I met very, very briefly at NABT meeting that in Chicago, and that's when I think you got exposed to this hands-on mapping activity that we've developed. And here in the slide, we have a picture of your students doing the activity. And now, Drew, I think you've also done the activity with your students.
Yeah, I did. I didn't take any good pictures like Rachel did. Yeah, I did the exact same activity.
Yeah, we'll take your word for it that your students actually did it. So yeah, so tell me just a little bit about how the activity went, what you think your students got from it, and are they sort of inspired or interested in the Half Earth Project mission, how does that fit in with your teaching?
I thought my kids really, really liked the activity. I know they were very engaged throughout it. The way, and I wasn't at the same meeting that Rachel was at NABT, so I wasn't sure. I'm not sure if I delivered it the exact same way that it was supposed to be or Rachel did, but I would give them the maps as we went through, and it challenged them a little bit more each time to try and find the land that you could use for the Half Earth Project. So whether I was giving that, and I'm trying to remember the order that I gave the maps out, but they found it challenging when you gave them the agriculture map and then the population map and then the forest map and all that kind of stuff at different times. I think that they found that challenging to try and find land that wasn't already being used in some way. But I think they really liked it. I think they a lot of them started off just by trying to figure out where certain national parks and national forests and stuff that were already protected were on their map, on their grid map, like you see in the picture. So yeah, they found it challenging that there weren't state lines. So most of our students haven't been much outside of Reedsburg. So they know, like, over in the west there's Yellowstone, and like Yosemite and Glacier National Park and stuff. So they kind of mapped those out first.
Right.
But yeah, they definitely liked it. It was a
From their
good
prior
activity for
knowledge.
them.
Yeah. How about you, Rachel?
Yeah, just to build on that, yeah, I think the kids were engaged in it. Definitely, I mean, you can see in these pictures, like the picture on the right where my one student's got his hand on his forehead like this, like thinking hard about where to shade in. But I think it was a really good activity and they liked it. They were able to kind of get more hands-on and it was more student driven. And I just kind of, telling them, all right, here's your task, XYZ, and same thing as Drew did, but I gave them out one
So
at a
that,
time, kind of built on each other. And I think that giving them kind of that freedom to decide, okay, I have to figure out 50% of this land needs to be shaded in and needs to be protected. I think that they found that kind of a challenging feature. And I think at the end, we had some good discussion about how in reality that can be very challenging, especially when you're looking at some of the other maps, like the population map. And we talked about, well, you can't just kick people out of where they're living. I mean, that's something that has to go into the thought process. So I think it definitely gave them a better idea about what conservation science is like and how these decisions are a lot more multifaceted than maybe they originally realized. So I think they really enjoyed that and being able to kind of talk to each other and see how the different groups chose different pieces of the land to protect. That was kind of interesting also.
good. Sounds like you like the flexibility in some ways, the open-ended challenge
Mhm.
nature of it. The
Mhm.
group work sound like it was a good feature.
Mhm.
Now, I know you like it, and I hope you're going to keep using this activity going forward. But one of the values of talking to different ambassadors and is to hope you share some tips and things like. So what did you have to do? Any extra things you needed to do, or any improvements you might make to it? Any tips for teachers considering doing this activity?
I had Google Slides that I put up with like the directions at each step we went through. So it was super easy for the kids to follow.
Hmm.
And discussion questions, things like that, I would put up on the board and we'd kind of chat about them. I felt like that was helpful and that was useful. Something that I wish I would have done and maybe I'll do next year is relate it back more specifically to our community. So maybe look at a map of Reedsburg, for example, and see, okay, well, how much of the land in Reedsburg do we consider to be, preserved or protected compared to how much we're using for roads and for houses and buildings and farmland and things like that. So I think that might have been something also that we could have brought in, or specifically looking at Wisconsin a little more so that it could maybe relate it a bit more back to their lives. Um,
I like that. That's good. I've heard that over and over and seen examples
mhm,
of people doing that. The follow-up to the activity of this activity is to move from the US map to a state map or even a more
mhm.
localized map.